On May 9, 2025, emergency responders were called to an apartment in Tallahassee, Florida, after reports of a child drowning in a bathtub. But the call didn't come from the child's mother. Instead of dialing 911, 24-year-old Raymonda Ford called the child's paternal grandmother for help. By the time responders arrived, 2-year-old Orion Moore was unresponsive. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors discovered he had no brain function from irreversible and profound brain damage. For 4 days, his family held on. But on May 13th, Orion was taken off life support and pronounced dead.
Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide. We're Kai's AI co-hosts, and this is your Florida Man Friday episode, where Kai writes true crimes out of Florida that range from disturbing to unthinkable. Today's case is no different, and while it's part of our Friday series, it's a story that deserves to be told with the victims at the center. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And remember, you can join us on the Patreon at patreon.com/loveandmurder. You can sign up for free or choose a bonus tier for exclusive episodes, case files, and more. As a side note, this case is still ongoing, so everything said in this episode is alleged. With that being said, let's get back to your Florida Man Friday case.
Orion was described as a happy, affectionate boy who loved cuddling, his penguin plushie, and watching cartoons. A GoFundMe created in his name said he suffered irreversible and profound brain damage. According to Raymona's statement to police, the events of May 9th started when she was making food for her 3 children. She said Orion had made a mess with his food, so she decided to bathe him. She claimed her bottom shower faucet wasn't working, so she was forced to fill the tub with the shower head. And then the water drained out slowly because the drain didn't work properly. Around that time, Raymona had also asked Orion's father to take the boy so that she could celebrate her birthday. He refused, and police later found out that detail matched what the child's grandmother said, alleging that Raymona often hurt Orion when she was angry at his father. When police asked Raymona about some injuries they noticed on Orion, Raymona admitted to hitting him on the head at least 3 times in anger, saying it was because of his behavior and the mess in the house. She acknowledged that she had originally left this detail out in her initial account to the responding police. She then said that after hitting Orion, she left him alone in the bathtub, claiming she stepped out to check on a smoking pot on the stove. She then cleaned the kitchen and checked on another child. She insisted that she checked on Orion within a minute, only to find him floating on his back in about 2 inches of water, his feet toward the faucet, bubbles coming from his nose. She described him as, quote, floating or halfway floating in the tub. His face was above the water, like, quote, someone floating in a pool. Investigators said that her description didn't line up with a typical drowning. They had Raymona perform a, quote, video-recorded walkthrough of the incident by filling up the tub and letting the water drain, along with a doll to represent Orion in the tub during the incident.
Ford claimed to have found Orion Moore on his back with his feet towards the bathtub faucet. She said his face was out of the water and the water level was approximately 2 inches. She stated that Orion Moore appeared to be floating or halfway floating in the tub and gave the example of someone floating in a pool. This would indicate air being in Orion Moore's lungs when she stated she discovered him and not consistent with drowning.
EMS had also documented seizure-like activity when they arrived. Investigators later said there was no evidence of Raymona checking on Orion within a minute, just like there was little to no evidence of any stovetop emergency. The medical examiner found acute trauma to Orion's head and neck, which likely caused seizures and complications when he was submerged. His death was ruled a homicide. During her recorded walkthrough of the scene, Raymona changed her story several times, first saying she left Orion alone for 1 or 2 minutes, then later admitting it could have been 3 to 5 minutes. Combined with her confession and the medical findings, investigators concluded that she struck her child, left him unattended, and that his injuries directly led to his death. They also allege she tried to hide her abuse.
I agree with the investigators' allegations, but I want to remind parents that you never leave your young children unattended for even a second in any amount of water. A young child can drown in just a teaspoon of water, believe it or not.
Following an extensive and detailed investigation, which included findings from the medical examiner's office, detectives determined Ford had struck the child multiple times, causing him to suffer seizures and ultimately drown after being left unattended in the bathtub.
On August 13, 2025, after 3 months of investigation, Raymona was arrested and charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, also referred to as willful and premeditated murder in reports, and aggravated child abuse, also referred to as cruelty toward a child by aggravated battery in reports. The next day, she appeared in court via Zoom, where a judge denied her bond under what's called an Arthur hold, meaning a separate hearing will decide if she could ever be released pending trial. During the hearing, she said that she wanted to hire her own lawyer, but admitted she only had, quote, just under $1,000, which the judge said wouldn't be enough. She remains in the Leon County Detention Center. Prosecutors are expected to build their case on Raymona's confession, the autopsy findings, and her inconsistent stories. They will also focus on her decision to call the child's grandmother instead of 911 and the alleged motive that she was angry with Orion's father. Kai's not sure if the prosecution would bring this up, but remember when I told you that there had been a GoFundMe started in Orion's name? Well, that page has since been deactivated. It appears that the organizer of the page was identified as Raymona Ford from Tallahassee. In it, the organizer wrote,
Orion is an amazing constellation. It is viewed as a hunter and a king. My son's name was Orion. Orion was a very affectionate baby. He loved his penguin plushie, cuddling, and watching cartoons. He was a very happy child. Due to legal limitations, I can't go in depth disclosing information about this tragic incident, but nothing can prepare you for that as a parent. I held his hand and held out hope through each test. I tried to encourage my baby. If I could fight for him, I would have.
Something else they'll likely focus on. This wasn't the first drowning incident that Orion had experienced under his mother's care. Records showed that back in 2023, when he was just 11 months old, there had been another bathtub incident, but at the time, it wasn't flagged as suspicious. So no investigation was done on this incident. The defense hasn't laid out a strategy, but they may argue accidental drowning, negligence, or point to her grief as proof that she wasn't intentionally trying to kill her son. Still, her confession and the medical examiner's findings will be difficult for them to overcome. For now, no trial date has been set, and the case is still in its earliest stages. Meanwhile, the Tallahassee community is left grieving the loss of another child. Orion's death is the 3rd child homicide reported in the city in just 4 months, a pattern that has many in their community asking, how many more young lives will be lost before something changes?
What do you think about this case? Do you think this was an accidental or purposeful drowning? Let Kai know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening all the way to the end. It means a lot to me and everyone involved. If you want more, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/loveandmurder. You can sign up free so you never miss an episode and still get a few extras. But if you want the full experience, bonus cases, ad-free episodes, the Deadly Duo series, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and to become one of the voices shouting out for the victims, then sign up for one of our bonus tiers. Your support keeps this podcast going and helps us continue telling these stories with the victims in mind. Patreon.com/loveandmurder. We'll see you in the next case.